Hey guys, good evening and welcome to another episode of Clearly Ambiguous. So, I do apologize for being irregular. Um, Last week I was traveling, so unfortunately, because of that, there wasn't an episode that was short, so didn't upload. But today, what are we going to talk about? Today, it's one of the things that I've been thinking of talking about for a while right now. And and looking at what is happening in the world right now, I think we should probably be talking about it and making a lot of noise about it, but we don't because unfortunately we usually end up picking up our cues of talking from what is happening in the media, right? So the media shows you something and we start debating around what did the media shows and we go on and on, we have those arguments. So basically what media right now is doing is controlling the narrative, right? So if you see, social media is no longer independent in most cases because even on social media, people who have really deep pockets can actually resonate their message more than somebody like me who's probably has an opinion about everything and which is slightly more different than what you're hearing in the circles. So, what we're going to talk about today is conflict, right? And why certain countries in the world basically export conflict. And I'll come to that and I'll try and explain what I think about it. And if you agree about something, yes, please share your feedback in the comment section. Please do hit that like button as well. And please do subscribe as well. So, last time we spoke about something called continuous revolution. Now, that is a concept that came forth from mostly socialist economies or countries, right, where socialism took over or communism took over. But then again, it doesn't mean that, because as I said, the lines have gotten a little blurred. So, what is happening in the world today is that, you know, the traditional, so to speak, socialism or leftism is not exactly absolutely pure. And the typical right wing nationalist capitalism also is not totally pure because they are picking and choosing from things that work for the other and they try and somehow twist it and apply it to themselves. So, if you look at it, if you watch the news, and mostly Western news, you will see that they are always very busy choosing and picking the next Hitler, right? See, Hitler was a tyrant, he was a bad man, and he did something very despicable. And that's the reason why he's become favorite for scaring people into anything. So even if you have a democratically elected leader in some country, the narrative can be, oh, he's the next Hitler. And that is what they are doing right now. Trying to find the next Hitler. Oh, Putin's the next Hitler. Xi Jinping is the next Hitler. Modi is the next Hitler. Right? And why do we need to get scared? And like, see, one thing that nobody realizes, their big news was that yes, the Indo-Chinese relations have sort of become a little warmer than they were, right, from a couple of years back. And while the discussion is there in India about the fact that, we should always treat Chinese with suspicion. And yes, we should, because obviously we have been on the receiving end for quite a long time about Chinese expansionist agenda. So we should be careful. But in today's world, it's not about you treat somebody with suspicion or somebody with compassion or whatever it is. I think in today's world, everybody should treat everybody with suspicion, right? So if you think that we should not treat the Americans with suspicion, we should treat them with a lot of suspicion because their biggest export to the world, if you think, if you ask that question, a lot of people might say, oh, it's technology, oh, it's this, that, and the other. But their biggest export is conflict, right? So for a minute, let's try and understand it, that why conflict is exported and preferred as a tool of diplomacy in certain cases. Uh, After the Second World War, there was United Nations, and today a lot of people are saying that United Nations is absolutely redundant. Now, why do we say that? Because see, United Nations came into existence that there could be better diplomatic channels between the countries, and they could resolve disputes better, so that we don't have great, big, huge conflicts where millions of people suffer across the world. So that's why United Nations came into being. And why is it redundant today? Because United Nations, although it came with some really positive things, agendas, somehow has been failing to control those conflicts. Right? Let's take for an example, let's take away the reason why there are certain conflicts and just understand that what are the major conflicts that are happening right now. The major conflicts in the world right now are Russia, Ukraine, and Israel, Palestine, right? And there are, everybody is picked up a side and so on and so forth. Point is, let's for an instant just forget why the conflict started. Let's for one instance focus on the fact that that conflict needs to stop. Because amidst that conflict, there are certain people who are suffering. There are populations who are suffering. And I'm sure there are innocents on both sides, everywhere there are, right? So instead of pointing fingers, I'm pointing a finger at the conflict that exists. Now, if you look at the Western countries, when you talk, especially talk about the Russian-Ukrainian conflict, and if you talk about that, and I think President Trump had actually probably made a statement somewhere, right? What do you think? Like, how would the Russia-Ukraine conflict end? And he said it should end. Both Russia and Ukraine should just stop, right? Because in today's world, you cannot have absolutes. Today's world is not about absolutes, is it? There has to be a common ground. That is how it is. We have to draw a boundary and just agree about the fact. And that is what is between India and China. We have to draw a boundary, and Chinese have to respect it. The Indians have to respect it. The Chinese don't respect it, we will have a problem. If we don't respect it, Chinese would have a problem. So in today's world, first of all, the boundaries are drawn. And when we are nation states, we have to agree to the fact that we have to maintain status quo. So, but then again, there are people who say, Russia has to, and its agendas have to be defeated. Do we really want this conflict to continue to an extent where one side or the other has to face total annihilation, so to speak? And would that be a healthy world? And in today's world, if we are trying to believe in the fact that there has to be total annihilation of any particular entity to stop a particular conflict, what ensures, or who ensures that other people will not jump into it, and it will never end until the time we have a total destruction of all humanity there is. So, if you realize, if there is peace in this world, the first thing that will become redundant is all the people who preach peace. Don't you think so? United Nations will be absolutely redundant if just all the countries just, I'm just throwing it out there, it might be a fantasy that I might have, but then again, if you think, if you just have peace everywhere, what is the first thing that will happen? People who talk about peace will be redundant. Right? There are a lot of people who make millions and billions on the fact that they have to stop conflict, and how come they never succeed? Do they really want to succeed, or is just that fact that they are happy that the conflicts exist, because till the time those conflicts are there, their existence is relevant, right? You're trying to make peace with somebody who wants to separate from a particular nation or an entity or a country or whatever it is, and you are negotiating with them. Their existence will finish the day there is a negotiation, right? Everybody says, let's all come to a common ground and let's talk about this. See, if they agree, if there is a solution, then there is no conflict. And there are a lot of people who are important right now because there is that conflict, right? So our good friend United States, I think, should be one of our biggest concerns right now, because while they make sure that the conflict does not happen in their own land, because they've realized one thing, which probably as Asians should also realize, is that the only way you can progress is if there is no conflict, right? And Americans are very great at going and jumping into conflicts anywhere in the world. They've been in Southeast Asia, they've been in the Middle East, their intelligence services have been there in the Latin Americas and South Americas and everywhere, right? I'm sure there's not every country who puts diplomats in foreign countries makes sure that they are actually their intelligence operatives. And everybody, it's an open secret. And like, what is an open secret? Open secret means, yes, it's out there in the open. That you will always have some CIA operatives the moment you have a diplomatic American embassy somewhere. You will always have some CIA operatives there, gathering intelligence for the betterment of the world. CIA basically is an independent organization. I think it's an autonomous body. Americans have that. I think even Americans have no control over it. Right? It actually controls what America does rather than America controlling CIA. It's the other way around. And that's wrong, right? See, once like our good neighbors, the Pakistanis, it's been said about them that it's not a nation which has an army, it is an army which has a nation, and that is what is the most detrimental part for them. It is when the organizations end up owning the nation, they end up owning the people, and then it's bad for everyone. So anyway, so we began with the fact that, there are certain people who just basically export conflict, and they will probably stay relevant if the conflict continues. If there is a peaceful solution to anything, there are a lot of people who will lose their relevance. Right? And we Indians should realize that as we talk about becoming... See, let's understand one fact, that if there are, say, 2 superpowers or 5 superpowers or whatever the big economies are, the top 5, the top 10 and everything, let's accept one fact, that all of them are there not by just being good all the time. Do you think the Chinese have been good always? Do you think the Americans have always been good? Do you think the Russians have been always good? We Indians, we have problems within our own borders as well. And those, we have people within this whole country who would probably be very happy to continue internal small conflicts. And we have people who are fomenting conflicts within this country all the time. Whether it is on the basis of caste, creed, religion, whatever, linguistic, it's pathetic, right? So first we have to realize that if we look at it, that yes, there has to be an end to major conflicts. But at the same point of time, we have to look within, and we have to understand that there are certain conflicts which probably might not get resolved easily. Right? Because, as I said, the people who become in charge of resolving conflicts actually have vested interests in not resolving those conflicts. Right? And the Westerners are very, 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 very good at making sure that there are divides. Right? They are making sure there is a continuous revolution in anybody and everybody who's basically not them. Right? They create problems which are not even problems anymore. Right? And there are a million examples I don't want to quote certain examples which might start controversy, but I'm sure if you look for them, Western countries, Western democracies create problems everywhere in the world, which are not even problems actually. It's not a problem. Anyways, so what you have to understand is that the people who are talking about the peace most right now are probably the people who really do not want peace. And we have to be very, very, very suspicious about people who warm up suddenly because they might have something else. Because, see, nobody, let's understand, when you have countries and armies as big as the Chinese or the Indians or the Americans or the Russians today, you don't see them do something before they have not thought about an alternative. If they're withdrawing today, are they seriously, sincerely? So we have to test their sincerity. We just can't just close our eyes and expect the conflicts of 1960s happening again, right? Because it will be far more damaging for both the countries. And it will actually be far more damaging for us because the fact that, Chinese really don't care when it comes to sacrificing their own people for their political agendas. So we have to be more careful because we are a vibrant democracy, and the West would have you believe that, yes, our democracy is finishing, and the Chinese would have you believe that we are actually a weak nation and so on and so forth. No, we are a vibrant democracy and a growing economy, and we are strong, right? And that's the reason why you will have people conspiring against you. People trying to make sure that there isn't peace. And because the one thing that I keep saying again and again is, the moment you have conflict, progress stops. The moment you have any two entities fighting each other, they will make sure that nothing new develops out of the entire thing. And they will ensure that whatever is there right now gets destroyed. Let it be infrastructure, let it be anything. So while we think the Americans are good at see, let's agree to the fact that they do give you a conducive atmosphere to work. That's the reason why there has been brain drain from the Chinas, the Japans, the Koreas, the Indians, the Pakistanis, the Bangladesh. Everyone wants to go and work in the United States because, yes, they do give you, they monetize your knowledge better than what your own countries do, right? So that's the reason why we would probably all going there, right? If we would have had that in our own countries, we'll never go there. Thinking, somebody ended up saying to me the other day, the American education system is great. No, if American education system is that great, right, why do they need educated people from outside? Right? They need nice, technically learned, scientifically inclined minds to make their own country progress, while they push conflict in our countries and making sure that our people do not want to stay in our own countries so that we never reach where they are at, right? And if we realize and we start doing it, they'll make sure that, oh, no, hang on. Something is wrong with either your democracy or your leaders or your way of progress, and your wealth generators are not right. Your wealth. How come every Asian or non-American wealth generator is corrupt? They make us hate our wealth generators. While all the time they are selling the fact that, we should generate wealth. Wealth has to be created. The wealth that is created. And actually, if you look at it, in most of our cases, if there is wealth, obviously that goes a certain amount towards the development of the country or the people or the locals or whatever. In their own cases, most of the people you have there who have wealth end up using it for all kinds of nefarious things. Weirdest things. They end up buying them. Their millionaires end up buying the most weirdest of stuff. So anyways, so all that I wanted to speak to you about today is there are certain people who love making sure that everybody in this world is at each other's throat. And should we be at each other's throat or not? What are your thoughts about it? Please do let me know in the comment section. I hope I was able to make some sense, and I hope I was clearly ambiguous. Thank you for watching. Good night.